Welcome to Cooking Under Pressure. This food safety program is developed and provided by Purdue Extension Health and Human Sciences. How many of you have one of these nice little gadgets at your house, whether it be an Instant Pot, a Ninja Foodie, or some of the other generic brands? I guess some of you are probably like those I hear about, that I have one, but it's still in the box. So what we're going to do is help you understand how to use this machine and how to be comfortable with it so that you will get it out of the box and use it. What we want to do is with our Electric Programmable Pressure Cookers, or we'll call them EPPCs, there are some things you might want to consider, such as how much they cost and how would I know which one to get. So we're going to go through this today and talk about how versatile that the small kitchen appliance really is. It's a multi-cooker. You can do pressure cooking, slow cooking, rice, steam, and more. It also saves you counter space and money. This one appliance can be a rice cooker, a cake maker, and at the same time, the preset options are specifically designed to cook food to perfection, whether it be a cheesecake, a stew, oatmeal, or more. And in addition to that, there are some basic features that are really cool to know about these. It's healthy cooking, because when you cook, you get better nutrition retention. About 90 to 95% of your vitamins from your food are kept in the pan. So you cook some vegetables and you have that juice at the bottom of the pan. You can save that to put into a soup or some other type of dish because it has a lot of nutrients in it. It's fast. You cook your food in less time. It usually will cut your cooking time to at least 1/3 of the original time in a traditional oven. It's small, uniform pieces of food, can be cooked from frozen. Large pieces, you might want to make sure that you get them thawed before you go ahead and use them. And then it's green. It uses 70% or more energy savings. And if you're going to cook with 70% less energy, it's comparable to the energy saving light bulbs. So shorter cooking times, cooler house, and less electricity used. It's easy. It has built-in features, convenience, has consistent results, a keep warm setting, and cleanup is easy. It is also very safe. There are safety features which we're going to go through and talk about when we go through these slides about our automatic lid lock and our lid features that will help us to be safe. All right, look at all these delicious foods that you can do in the Instant Pot or the Ninja Foodie. When you're cooking these foods at high temperature that normally take a long time under other cooking methods, will cook well under pressure and much quicker. You can do things such as chicken thighs, pork chops, rump roast, brown rice, bulgur, dried beans, or vegetables such as beets, carrots, potatoes, and winter squash, and it will actually make them just as tender as can be. All right, so how does this little Instant Pot work? Pressure cooker works by a method that seals the food inside a vessel with liquid. The water is heated to create steam, which increases the pressure in the vessel. Steam is trapped in the pot, raising the pressure, which in turn increases the boiling point. Increased boiling point equals faster cooking time. So what might take you, such as pulled pork, in an oven 6 hours to make, might only take 2 hours in your pressure cooker. Because the pot stays closed and loses hardly any moisture, you can use less liquid and the flavors become more concentrated. So it ends up making a better, more intense flavored item. When you think about such as doing a hard-boiled egg, this doesn't really save a lot of time on hard-cooked eggs, but oh my goodness, do those eggs peel easily. Considering an electric programmable pressure cooker, there are so many brands out there. There are store brands, there are major brands such as, like I mentioned, the Instant Pot and the Ninja Foodie and others. There are so many commercials for different products that you could see and decide which features you like. There are different sizes. They might be 4, 6, or 8 quart, and the cost will vary as well. Catch sales, I've seen them as low as $59, usually around $70 to $300 depending on the brand and the size that you buy. You'll have a vent system for quick release, which is spring-loaded venting systems, and they'll deliver the most consistent performance. And you want to consider features and accessories. Pre-cook settings, you have a safety valve, look for the safety valve, look for easy cleaning. Sometimes you can get a non-stick coating on the liner, and some are stainless steel, which are great for browning. I noticed that most of your Instant Pot and other types of brands like that will have a stainless steel inner pot, and the Ninja Foodie has a porcelain lined inner pot, which is kind of a non-stick liner. You'll want to make sure to check the booklet that comes with the machine. Make sure that if you're on high setting, it is a 10 psi or above, and psi means pounds per square inch for your pressure. Make sure that you're getting to proper temperatures to safely cook the food. And if you're concerned about any kind of other issues on use and care, make sure that you read that user manual. Make sure you check the features that are on the box. And of course, there are lots of accessories that you can buy. You can go to any kind of an online purchasing site and find tons of little gadgets and things that you can use to make your Instant Pot cooking even better. So how do you know which one to buy? Okay, so what size is best for you? If you get a 4 quart, that would be for a single person or a couple, or 1 course of food, because they're relatively small, but it's great for people that cook alone or just for 2. If you want one that's for a more family size, you would go with a 6 quart. And if you have a large family or you want to make a large amount, you might want to go with the 8 quart. So you can estimate 1 quart per person in your household. And many of the recipes you see EPPC will be based on the size of a 6 or 8 quart, because that's mostly what people use because they're generally cooking for families. So what features are important to you? Do you have the space on your countertop? So if you put it away where you can't see it, sometimes if you can't see it, you won't use it. How many people are you feeding? How much do you want to spend? And are you willing to take the time to cook differently? It will take a little bit of an adjustment to figure out how you cook a little bit differently in these versus an oven or a stovetop pan. Cookbooks that come with them will give you that information. So your basic programmable features: you have a slow cook button, a pressure cook button, a rice cooker button, steamer, saute browning, yogurt maker, and warmer. Your Ninjas and some of those other ones will also have a dehydration setting on them. So check the brands and see which you actually want to use. So your basic slow cooker, it's a little different than the traditional slow cooker. The EPPCs will heat up really fast, and the heat mechanism is in the bottom of the pot, versus your slow cookers where you have the heat elements are wrapped around the sides of the pot, which is why it doesn't stick and burn on the bottom. Well, what you'll have to do is adjust your time with the pressure cooker so that when you're using the slow cooker method that you're adjusting for that difference. And your recipes will give you those adjustments. Uneven cooking can happen during slow cooking, as the food on the bottom does tend to cook faster. The heating element is, you just need to make sure that you're checking it and make sure you're adjusting that recipe for the time and what is in the machine. So for pressure cooking, you can do manual, which you're choosing what you want to do. Or you can do a preset, which is why we have electronic programmable pressure cookers, your preset buttons. You might have one for, they'll say porridge, which would be like an oatmeal. You'll have one for rice, one for egg, one for various kinds of things. You actually have one for bake, where you can make a cake in one of these items. And that is really a lot of fun and amazing how well they work out. So your steamer, you have a steam function in there that you can steam vegetables or seafood or reheat food and instead of using a microwave. And they'll actually have steamer racks and baskets designed and included to fit so that you can use those. And if you're going to put food on the rack or the steamer, then your water goes below that in the inner pot, and then your food is protected from getting too hot. Your saute and browning is nice because you get a nice flavor when you put some meat in a pan and you brown or saute it so that it gets that nice little crust on it and adds flavor. Well, you can do that, and then all you do is turn it off when you're done with sauteing and browning, like searing and things like that, and then you go ahead and switch over to your pressure cooking settings. To make yogurt, you're going to boil and cool down milk, incubate the yogurt for a minimum of 8 hours. After the live cultures are added, you're going to sanitize the insert pot first, then use the thermometer to test the temperature, make sure the milk has reached 180 degrees. Let the milk cool below 115 before adding the yogurt starter. Then you can go ahead and press the yogurt button, and it will make yogurt in your instant pot. Some of the units might go for a different amount of time, but they all tend to have a warmer. So what happens if you're pressure cooking for 20 minutes and it reaches the 20 minutes and that 20 minutes stops, there's still a steam in the item, and so it will start counting back up it'll go to 0 and then it'll start counting back up with an L letting you know it's on low and it's keeping warm. And so your Instant Pot will stay warm for quite a while, some for 30 minutes, some for longer than that, so that you can keep that food at a warm, safe temperature, which needs to be above 145 degrees, and they're generally between 145 and 172 for your warming unit, so that will keep your food safety in mind. So using the EPPC safely, first of all, read the manual. And I know people say, oh yeah, I'll just use it, because a lot of times people take something out of the box and just use it and don't read the booklet. You'll save yourself some headaches and have a better product if first you read your manual, because it will give you the instructions on how to put things in the pot, how to organize your recipe. It will also give you the amount of time that you need for each particular recipe that is in the booklet, and there'll be charts in there for things that maybe aren't on their recipes, but they do have information there on how to use the item correctly. Inspect the parts. Get your product out of the box and look at everything and make sure that there are no dings or dents or areas where it looks like it might be damaged. Make sure you have all of the parts in the machine that are required to be in that machine. Such as with your EPPC, you're going to have an inner pot. And with that inner pot, it's either going, like I said, be stainless steel, or it could be ceramic lined. You'll have a base, which is the base of the machine, as you can see in the picture. And then you'll have a lid, which of course you also see in the picture. There will be trivets that come with them that you put food on and have water underneath them for your pressure cooking. You'll have a lid such as shown in the picture. Sometimes there are glass lids and silicone lids that you can purchase if you're just going to watch something as it's staying warm in the pot. You have a silicone sealing ring, which you can see in the small picture. That sealing ring must be there and it must be in good condition. I would suggest when you buy one of these items, whichever brand you buy, that you buy an additional ring while you're at it so that you have one. Some people like to do very strong flavored savory dishes such as curries and they don't want, then when they're going to make rice pudding, they don't want it to smell like curry. So they have one for savory and one for sweet. But if you want to make sure that you're keeping all of that smell off of there, you can use that ring in a dishwasher. You also can soak it in hot soapy water, and then you can put some water in your Instant Pot with some vinegar and do a short pressure time, and that will clean up your inner pot. It will clean the band and make sure that there's all the bad smells are out of it. You also have an exhaust valve. The exhaust valve here is on the right, and you'll see a little button there, and on the top of the pressure cooker, whenever your pressure is up, that little valve will pop up, and you will see it be silver or red, and it will be popped up out of there. When all of the pressure is gone, that exhaust valve will drop, and when that drops, then you know your pressure is down and you'll be able to open your machine. You also have an anti-block shield, which is shown here in this picture with the little holes, and that just pops off for cleaning, and that's just kind of a nice little feature that makes sure that if you have anything in your pot that would tend to clog or get into the workings of the machine, that it would be able to be cleaned out. So you can clean that off, and it helps protect your machine. Another thing that you have to remember is not to overfill it. When you do things like beans, rice, and grains, they are going to expand substantially, so you never want to go more than half full. And pretty much everything else, you never want to go beyond 2/3 full. And there actually is a series of lines and measurements inside the pot that you can see where it shows you full, and not to put anything past that fill line. Okay, secure your lid and position your valve. When you're ready, you have put your liner in, you've put your water in the bottom, you've put your food on the trivet, and then you have placed the lid on. Now you're going to fix the valve. As you look at the top of your machine, on this picture you can see a little red spot on the right hand side. That's the pressure valve I was mentioning. And you'll notice it has venting where the steam is coming out, and then you see where you have little wiggly lines. That's where your pressure is building. So when you're getting ready to use your machine, you want to make sure that your pressure release valve is set to closed for pressure. And you want to choose your cooking program and time. Are you going to do something that is already on a recipe where it says to cook on high for 5 minutes? Then you would go ahead and pick whatever, if it's rice or whatever you're doing, you pick the program and the times are built in there. If you want, you can do them manually, but you can go ahead and use those where they are preset. For example, of programming on the pressure cooker, for example, this one at the top is set for 22 minutes. So it starts at 22, and then it will start counting backwards all the way down to 0, and then it will start counting back up on low. So when it starts off, you have the lid locked in place, you select your function and program, adjust the pressure, temperature, and cook times according to your recipe, and the item will actually regulate its internal pressure during the cook time. So it never tends to get overbuild and get too much pressure, or drop to have too little pressure. So it will regulate itself to stay exact what you programmed it to. So you can also set a kitchen timer to make sure cooking is complete, because on mine it beeps, but if I'm not in the room I won't hear the beep, and so sometimes I'll set a timer so I can go back and check it, because I don't think they beep very loudly. And when you first start, it will come on and say on, and once the pressure builds, then it will show the time that you'd set it for, such as the 22 here. So cooker vents and steam pressure builds. All right, so you're cooking because you've got pressure. And then your display counting time will count down. Example on this is the pressure cooker was set at 5 minutes. When the cooking time is complete, most cookers will automatically shift to a warm setting. And so once it was at 5, now it's down to the 2 seconds, and then it will stop and go to warm. So you want to make sure that way, if you aren't in the room, your food is still going to stay warm. All right, proper pressure release method. Okay, so recipes will tell you this. They will tell you how to release the pressure. Some items they'll say quick release, which means as soon as your timing goes down and it's counted down to 0 and it says low and it's counting back up, then you can you'll notice that there will be a little spot where you can push it, and someone's got a silicone glove on their hand. That's good. You can use a wooden spoon, a silicone glove, silicone pad of some sort, stand away from the machine, and then you can hit release and the steam will start pouring out. And as you can see in this picture, that little red valve is popped up. So whenever the steam is gone, that will drop down. So you can do a quick release, or you can do a natural release, which means you just leave it there and it's going to stay on warm, but the pressure is slowly going to be released. And then when that little button pops down, you know that it is released. Or there are times recipes will say a specific time for natural release. They'll say natural release for 10 minutes and then release the rest of the pressure. So it will tell you how long to leave that on. And then now you're going to open the machine. Your safety valve is dropped, as you can see in this picture, past the person's hand. The little red valve has dropped down, and the lid is not going to open until that happens. And so you've opened it and the steam has been released. Now you're going to open the lid, but make sure that you lift the lid opening away from your body, because if there would be any steam left in there, you certainly don't want it in your face.